percent of professional marketers and business owners report positive results with video. Are you in that other percentage that doesn't get results because maybe you're not doing video or not doing it well? Hi, I'm Christine Rothdeutsch, and I'm host of Make a Click. And today we're talking about confidence on camera. And I have with me my very special guest, Susan Janzen, who is a camera confidence coach. Welcome to this show, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so good to be here. Thank you for asking me. I appreciate this.
This is an area that I know people who struggle with it. And well, I shouldn't say, well, do they struggle with it or they just don't want to do it? So
Because they struggle with it. Yes.
yeah, yeah. Is it, sometimes when I'm making a suggestion to somebody and video comes up and it's like, yeah. Okay, here we go again. I try to figure out like, well, what is really going on with not wanting to get on video? And as I was preparing for our episode, I was thinking, well, geez, you have to have content. Is that a sticking point? Is that a huge piece of this, or is there a? I'm sure you're going to tell me there's even a bigger piece to this, of having that confidence on camera.
Right. Well, that's so many layers to unpack. I'm just coming to my mind. I have a quiz I'm going to offer at the end, and it identifies you in which exactly the question you just asked, Christine. So it's saying, what are you? And I have the tech challenged, and I have the content. Oh no, I'm sorry. I have four different categories of people who have lack confidence on camera and they don't even know why. And one of them is content challenge, where they're worried about what they're going to say. And so that's kind of infiltrating everything. And then their brain goes so crazy, they get just so nervous about that. The second one is charisma catalyst, is what I call them. And it's people who are just afraid of their face. They see their light comes on in the camera and they're just like, they have no charisma, like they don't know how to share the warmth and the information and the message that they want to share. The third one is the perfection seeker, and that's the person who says, no, it's got to be perfect or I'm not doing this. We know people like that in business, right? And so then they don't step forward to do it. And then the last one is the tech struggler, and that's the person who just gets freaked out by, I don't know where to look. I don't know what to do. I don't know if my background looks nice, anything to do with techie stuff, sound, and camera. So those are just kind of the four categories that you might go into. But usually the biggest thing that I've found with the people I work with is they know their stuff. They're very confident and very knowledgeable, but they say the light comes on and they freeze.
And would you say the people that you work with, are they already talking on stages and like on online events maybe, but that when it comes to like doing things on their own with a camera, that's the sticking point, or are they not even there yet?
Yeah, usually they're not even there yet. They're afraid to. So I get them to actually tape like a 2-minute thing and let's share that and let's talk about that, what that looks like, because they're too afraid to do anything. And then that prevents them from moving forward into promoting what they're trying to sell. That's really sad. Like I find that, like and when you're, it's all, for me, it's all a mindset. And as a professional singer for 20 years, when you go out on the stage, your whole message should be, I've got something to share and I want the audience to hear this because I want to share something really important. And then what you're doing is you're taking everything off of you, like that fear, because once you get afraid, you get nervous, your voice shakes, your knees go. I've way back when I first started singing, my knees would just go. I'd wear long skirts so you wouldn't see them. But it's because all I was doing is thinking about my own self. That's the exact worst thing you can do, because my hair is not right, my liner's funny, whatever you're thinking about yourself, you're totally exactly the opposite of what you're supposed to be thinking about, and that's caring about the audience and about the person you're talking to. So if your thoughts and your intention and your motivation and your energy is put on the person that you're speaking to, you forget about yourself. You don't even know what you did. And then I've come off stages sometime. I go, how was that? Like I haven't got a clue. Like I remember just singing and doing something and going, what, like, I don't even, I have to ask, I have to watch the replay to see what I did. Cause sometimes I say things, it's like, what did I say? Like, I don't even know what I said or did because I just kind of go on automatic adrenaline and automatic pilot. And then based on the confidence that I've had doing it so many times, I just let it go. I just like, right? So
Right.
if our thoughts are on ourselves, that's the wrong place that they should be. That's the biggest thing. So it's the fear of how
Yeah.
you come across, yeah.
That's awesome, Susan. That's the first time I heard it put in that perspective. And yeah, like we all feel that we've got something to say, but yet when you're given the opportunity, as I've learned, it's like if somebody gives you an opportunity to speak to a crowd or be on a podcast, you have to say yes, and you'll be fine. And that's it. We all survive. It's like, and there too, it's like, what is it that we're afraid is going to happen? Um,
Afraid of criticism, afraid of judgment,
and
afraid.
what will that do to us? Again, it's all in our mind. We're creating these stories. And oh my goodness, this world would be such a better place if we would all get out of our own heads and and just give people our genius, our
Yeah,
knowledge.
and just be nicer to yourselves, have a little more compassion for yourself. I think that's the trick, is just saying, "You know what? I'm this is coming from my heart. I'm doing this from the right place. I know what I have to say, and this is what I'm gonna do, and this is," and they can take me, and they might not like me. That's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay, right? If you're speaking to 1,000 people, 500 might say, "I don't like that person." Well, that's okay. I mean, you're not gonna get 1,000 people saying, "Yes, yes, yes, yes."
Mhm.
It doesn't
Yeah.
happen. I used to sing a lot, and, for 20 years, I sang professionally, so 6 nights a week on in big event. I sang the Stanley Cup playoffs, like, I've sung a lot of big, cool places. But I remember I did this one big breakfast. I think it was like 3,500 people at this big, we have Klondike Days in Edmonton, Alberta, and I was a Klondike Kate for 2 years, so I would
Mm.
just be at every event, like, everything that was going on, I was there. It was exhausting, but I loved my job. But I remember one time I was at this huge Chichaco breakfast, it was called, where the mayor was there, all the MLAs and council people, and plus a huge event. And there was this one guy, and he was sitting in the corner table right below the stage, and he had this newspaper. Those are the days we still were reading newspapers. He had this newspaper out, and he was like reading the paper while I was singing. And I was like, that one guy, I was getting so angry. Like, there's 3,499 people, 34 3,499 people watching me and applauding and smiling, singing along, and
Mhm.
this one guy, and all my attention kept going, and I just was getting angry for this. I said, "Excuse me, sir, do you want me to come down and take that away?" Like, it just bothered me so much. So that's what happens as we get into that state where we're seeing the wrong things and thinking about the wrong things.
Right. We're always looking for what's not right instead of looking for what is right. And there's so much more in front of us that is right.
Yes.
Um, Now, what do you, if you could give us just a short, maybe short list of preparation to do even a Facebook Live, if somebody just wants
Mhm.
to go and do a live video like that, or we can do recorded video, but then you tend to be more critical. What are a couple of pieces that you suggest they focus on to prepare and then just do it versus the other stuff of like just let it go, like don't even worry about that aspect of it. So what
Mm.
would those few things be to be ready to say, "Okay, I'm hitting the button and I'm going live?"
Yeah, that hitting that red button is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Personally, like, what I do is I have my lights and and my camera, like, I do a little a photograph or something so that I know what people are seeing. Like I need to know that. It's just like going to a room that I'm singing in later. I like peeking in the room and I just like knowing where I'm at. So it's just preparing so the lighting's good, your voice, your camera and your microphone is good, like you can hear. And then for me, it's always practice. Practice is like number one. And I don't practice, like, even when I sing, I don't practice and practice and practice, but I do practice a lot. But yet, what is a lot to some people? As long as I go through it, and then I also have in mind my 3 points or bullet points if I don't want to be reading a script. Sometimes I have to read a script, it's really long.
Mm.
But I have to make sure that it doesn't sound like I am reading the words, because that is very boring and it's really terrible. So, but I have the three things in my mind that are really crystal clear. This is the three things I want to say. I want to say my intro, these 3 points, and a thank you for joining me and goodbye. Right? Like, so it's planned. You want to be prepared, right? Do want to. So, but sometimes people do it live and they just say, "Hey, I'm out here on some corner of something, and I just thought I'd check in." Well, that's different, right?
Mhm.
Well, then you can't prepare like that. So I guess it depends on what you're doing. Like, it depends on what you're preparing for,
Mhm.
right?
Right, and I guess we need to give ourself a time limit of preparing to prepare to one day, someday, maybe get on video, you know, and just do it.
Just do it.
It and you had mentioned one of the stumbling blocks being technology.
Mhm.
Um, I find it so much easier to sit at my computer and use the browser, to broadcast like what we're doing right now. The phone, I can understand where that is a huge stumbling block. When you're using, specific apps, like if it's a social media app, won't mention anything in particular, but those technologies are constantly changing and updating, and if you don't do it, like, almost every day, you lose touch with what the process is. So you might do it and say, "Oh, I did everything," and then come back 2 weeks later, "I'm gonna do this again." "Oh, wait a minute, it changed. Now
Yeah.
what?" So you really do have to be consistent
Yes.
with
That's huge.
what you're doing, with the technologies, and well, and again, it's not just knowing the technology, it's like the people wanna see you more consistently, I think.
Well, I think it just makes you more reliable and makes you more likable if they kind of know what to expect. People like that consistency. They do.
Right.
Yeah, and it's and w they I don't think people understand about us as podcasters. Like, we have we populate our Airtable with all the information from our
Mhm,
guests. Like, there's so many things that we do, that we use a platform that we're using today, and it's live streamed out there.
mhm.
And so it's understanding and being comfortable with that, just like you said, like, you have to be comfortable with those things. And that changes all the time.
Mhm. Right, right. And that's what I love, the platform that we are using, it's just fabulous. With clients of mine that launch podcasts, I advise them, go in and practice, because you can record a video
Mhm.
instead of going live. It's, just go in and
Yeah,
play with the software. I recently, launched a client with her own show, and she kept talking about being nervous and all this. And I asked her the one day, "What was the problem?" And she said, "About the technology."
yeah,
I'm like, "Well, get in," and it was the fact that she hadn't been going into
yeah.
the technologies and really looking at, how things work and whatnot. And that's with anything that we do. It's
Some
not
people are
just.
not some people are technically not technically disadvantaged,
Mhm,
though. Like,
mhm,
some people, they would rather, like, I would rather not do this than do all that.
mhm,
And I get
mhm,
that. I'd rather hire somebody to get it all ready for, like, actually, in my podcast, I did everything, and I did do it from scratch, so I'm very well aware. But I would love to just say to somebody, when I was a singer, I had an agent, they said, "Be here at 8 o'clock, and this is the gig, and this is what you're getting paid." It's like, I'll be there, and I was always on time, I was always way early, actually, and then I would get dressed, I'd get ready, and then I just got paid. I didn't have to worry about anything, about
mhm.
advertising or anything. I just had to sing. That's what I was most comfortable doing. So I get it. I understand where they're coming from. I really do. It's
Yeah.
just not a comfortable thing, but it is something that we need to at least be slightly aware of, you know?
Right. Well, and we have to decide, what is it we are willing to do? What are we willing to do ourselves? Do we really want to do video? And if we do, but we're not, up on the technology, we're not, are we willing to pay someone to help us with that?
Right, right.
Years ago, I did some video in several iterations of my business ago, many years ago. I was in an organization that had a husband and wife team that did video.
Mhm.
And they suggested doing some snippets. They would, ask me questions, record it, and then go edit it and create these snippets. Oh my god, I was so impressed. I was like, "Wow, this is really neat," because alls I had to they showed up at my door with their camera, sat to and asked me questions, videotaped me, and then took it off. It
Nice.
looked good. Oh my goodness, that is so worth it to have somebody
Mhm.
do that for you.
So
Um,
nice.
yeah, yeah. I need to have it done again. It's been too long. Um,
Well,
but yeah.
there's programs to do that for you now, so
Yes, yes. I'm learning new stuff every day
every single
almost. It's
day.
like, and I have to stop myself because, yeah, I like the technology, but yeah, I can't go down all those rabbit holes.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that it's yeah. But yeah, so being confident on camera, it does take time, and with like confidence with anything. I love when I hear in a coaching group when somebody asks, they go, "Wow, you're so confident. How do you?" They think there's like a magic bullet that you can take this pill and wake up the next day and have the confidence. And it's like, yeah, no, it
No,
doesn't work that
it's
way.
not how it works. And confidence, and there's a lot of difference between, and as I just reading the book Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima, who just put out the book called Worthy, and her whole thing is the difference between confidence and having self-worth or feeling worthy, and the confidence that when I talk about on camera, it's primarily based on the that you're getting validated from your audience, but it's also getting external validation by seeing yourself and being happy with all of that and the people who are seeing you. But and confidence is also taking like that first step. Like you can't you don't just get confident. You don't just
Mhm,
you just are confident. I mean, that's doesn't happen with practice and with doing things and reiterating things and practicing things and getting accustomed to things. You get the confidence because of repeat. You've repeated the process, right? But
mhm,
it's also the biggest thing with confidence is taking that step. It's always taking those action steps towards it, but being worthy and feeling the worth and feeling like that's where you are really authentic. Have you seen a lot of people that are confident on camera, but they're kind of annoying because they're very superficial, artificial. Like you don't feel like, is this guy telling me the truth? I don't know. Like those old
mhm.
commercials, like we're trying to sell you something. I
Right.
mean, so that's not what I'm talking about in confidence. I'm talking about more about being authentic, being coming and sharing from your heart and sharing because you want to share and be of service to other people. That's your rationale. And if you're always mindful of that, then, and then your self-worth grows that way too, because now you're understanding yourself better and you know that you're worthy and you know that you're worthy of getting the people's attention because you have something to share.
Mhm.
Right? So there's kind of a mix there, but usually, generally speaking, self-worth is more the inside value that you have on yourself, where the confidence is the external validation that you're getting. It's a little
Mhm.
bit different. Just if you want to layer that down.
Nice, nice points there, Susan. Thank you for that. Now, you had briefly mentioned earlier in our conversation that you have a confidence quiz for the
Mhm.
audience. Tell us more about that.
So, like I said, that there's 4 categories that I kinda clump people into because sometimes people say they get nervous, and I ask them, "Well, why?" And they honestly, "I don't know, I'm just scared, I just freeze up," and they really can't identify why. So I did this quiz where it puts them into 4 different categories, and then it gives them some hints and tips and tricks and things on a video after. Like, so once they fill out the quiz, and you can find that on my webpage, then you get an email with a little video with me talking at you, just looking just like this, and it's just saying you are identified as a tech struggler, and then I explain what that means, and this is what it's about, and this is what we could do, like if you wanted help in that area, I can help with that. So just kind of, but it does put you in a nice place because it actually clarifies, why am I so nervous? Like, is it just, am I an introvert and I don't want to talk, or am I afraid of the tech, or whatever it is? Or a lot of people are worried about the words they're going to say, and they feel that they're don't feel confident in that content area, like
Mm.
right?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. So the audience should go to suejansen.ca because you are in Canada, to take that confidence quiz and see where you can start, getting that confidence. Sue, this has been wonderful having you on my show. One last question for you, though, about you and your business and everything you've learned and done over the years. Is there something that comes to mind that you feel that has helped you to say, "Oh my god, that one thing is what made it click
Mm.
for me. I wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't learned XYZ, or I hadn't learned a new tool," or something, just saying, you can mention a tool. But is there something that comes to mind that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, on this topic, I have a story about Maya Angelou that when she was first introducing her poetry, she had a huge audience, but she was just starting to write her poetry, and she was going onto the stage that was just like massive, like a Carnegie Hall or somewhere, I'm sure. And she was telling somebody, she said, I think it was Oprah Winfrey, that she said she was behind the curtain and they were just going to announce her name, and she was so scared, like she was just so nervous. And then she just said that she always remembered to, she, number one, breathe is huge for anything, anytime that you're singing or speaking. Just breathing and grounding yourself is huge. But anyway, then she said she took a deep breath and she just thought to herself, those people out there are here because they love me. Like that was her mindset. So that when she went out, she was just like welcoming her family to her living room. Like that's how she was feeling, and that's what she projected. So just having that feeling that the people who are listening want to hear what I have to say, and they're on my side, and they are, they want me to do well, and they're on my, they're not being judgmental, but they're just here for me, and I want to help them.
Mm,
So as long as we just keep that right mindset about why we're doing it, and just then that authenticity comes out, and then people know that, hey, I want to listen to this person. And that's what that's all we want, is just to be heard and to
yeah.
be seen, right?
Oh, that's wonderful, Susan. Thank you so much for a wonderful conversation and for being my guest today on Make It Click.
Well, thank you for asking me. I love being asked. That's great.